is just in case. I'm pretty sure you have experienced something like this. Now you accidentally, you pour the cup, water into the cup, and accidentally you kind of like just swung your hand at it, and it kind of spilled from the cup. Or soaked your textbooks by spilling the drinks from your cup. Now, the concept of today's message is that even the wise men must live wiser lives. If you look at there, that the today's verse is saying, in the past, back in the day, the farmers would dig a hole so they can store the store the things that they need to farm. And as for me, when I was young, there was a little hole right by my house, and what we stored was sweet potatoes. The hole, if the hole is just it's not too deep for you to get out, then it wouldn't be a problem. But then if the hole is too deep for you to get out, it would be a problem. You know, the people that are listening to the lectures by Solomon are wise people, so they are capable of digging good holes. But Solomon is saying that what's unpredictable could happen anytime. You can actually harm yourselves by the holes that you dug yourself. What's the title of today's message? Just in case. It could be up to the various versions of translation. Now, if you translate the title word for word, it would be like 1 in 10,000. So it's just one incident out of 10,000. So possibility of a 1,000th is very unlikely that it could actually happen. But Solomon is still saying that even for that possibility, that you must be careful. So Solomon is saying that you could be as careful as you know how and dig a hole, and yet by that very hole that you dug, then you could fall into. So you just have to be more careful more than more than you can ever do. So so real wise man take the what's most unlikely to happen into an account as well. Now, the examples that I gave about now, so once you know the even the cups that you place on either on your desk or the table, that you have to consider that there could be there's a possibility that that you could you know by doing things or daily tasks or whatever, you could actually swing your arms at it and you know and spill the water or whatever drink or whatever kind of liquid the cup holds, they could spill from the cup. So you have to place the cup out of the range of your arm to make sure that there's no possibility of falling the cups or toppling the cups. You know, there are people with the simple-minded. You really have to take the consider the possibilities of that can go wrong. Now, the second part of the verse 8 says, "Whoever breaks through a wall may be bitten by a snake." Now, do you know what the wall is? Yeah, there's you youngsters may not know what it is. You know, back in the day, we basically built the wall by piling up little stones. I mean, you would hardly ever witness a snake, dwelling just a little tiny, loophole between those stones. No, and there will be times that you would dismantle the wall, either um, either to restore or to build another kind of wall, you know, or get rid of the wall. But in doing so, you have to consider that there could take the possibility that there could be a snake, and while you're dismantling the wall, there could be a snake biting you. This is not doable for everyone. People who pursue uh, the lives of norm will consider those people just too picky. I mean, if you spill the drink, you can wash it off. But if you get bitten by the snake, then what would happen? Now you may believe that something uh, unpleasant will happen in your life, but it will, and it could. And you're simply pleased by you're simply well pleased with the status quo and continue on with your lives. And something similar is repeated in verse 9. Whoever carries stone may be injured by them. So basically, there are people whose occupation is to carry the stone and have the carpenter carve it in a in a specific form. Now, by the way, those people who quarry stones are great experts. Even those great experts, they really have to consider what is unlikely to happen. Even the people, people who are experts at nailing, if they're not careful, they could smash their fingers. Yeah, so the people who quarry stone are great experts, and the rope they use to carry those stones will not be cut off because they're good experts, but it could. So you have to take your lives preciously. Though there are other people, uh, people with emboldened hearts in a wrong way. They criticize such a kind of careful people that you're being too just stingy about your life or yourselves and about the situations. But you know what? If you don't want to live a life like that, just be my guest and live whatever kind of life you want to live. Now, back in the day, now whoever splits logs may be endangered by them. Now, back in the day, when you split the log, you usually use the axe. You have to be extremely careful. You really have to be picky about positioning your feet. You could split your own foot, so you have to keep your widen your stance to avoid the possibility of smacking your own foot. And also you have to only utilize the weight of the axe to avoid the alteration of which the direction of the axe. Like I'm a master at you know swinging an axe. You know, as you swing the axe, the stone could be bounced off the axe and hit your own body. So if you injure yourself while swinging an axe, you might as well not do it. No. So so you have to be careful and careful and careful and careful and careful, and that's still not enough. And more valuable you take your life, more careful you become. Look, if you live a life of norm, I mean, it wouldn't matter as much. But if you are an influential person and you injure yourself, it would be a huge problem, don't you think? No. If the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened. And if the edge of the axe is unsharpened, it is really difficult, and it increases the risk of injuring the people around you, including yourself. And you really have to sharpen it before you actually, taking an action. To accomplish the task that you had in mind. So you're trying to get rid of any variables that could, that could, that could come from the ill preparation. So you really have to be careful. I pray earnestly before I play basketball that there will not be a single person injured. Now, just being injured from playing sports, it's very unwise. You know, for instance, there's a ball that you simply cannot catch, but you still try to catch it, and in doing so, you injure yourself. It's so you really have to, differentiate what's practical and impractical, and also in driving. Uh, the the factor that causes the accident the most is competitiveness. You know, us the greatest number of accidents is caused by running into the car right in front of me, and that comes from not allowing the car getting in your way. Now, if you think about that, it could only take a few more seconds later, just a bit longer for you to arrive at your destination. So if there's a car trying to, get in your way, just let it go. Look, I mean, if you ever get an accident, well, what would be like that? What benefits you get from it? Now, there's a time where I have to drive through a little tiny path. So there are incidents where you have to drive just right through through two cars, and what I do is that I would get out of the car and make sure there's enough space for me to drive through. And if I don't, if it doesn't seem to be, so what I would do is that I would paste the width of the space. So since just about the length of my shoe is about 30 centimeters, what I do is that if there's 7 steps, if I could pace 7 steps, then I consider just enough space. But or if there's less than 6.5 spaces or paces that I take, then it's not just enough space for me to drive. Let me correct you. It's actually six paces for man and 7 paces for woman. And if you're unsure whether it's enough space or not to drive through, then just take a little detour. Now, if a snake bites, it's verse 11. If a snake bites before it is charmed, the charmer receives no fee. Now, the charmer back then was a kind of man that could turn a little stick into a snake. And also, they could hold a snake just like a stick. So, so they would carry the snake kind of like stick, but then once they release the stick or a stick like a snake, then it could once again turn into a snake again. And then in the midst of carrying the snake, you get bitten by it. Now you could be the greatest and expert in training a snake, and yet be bitten by the snake. If you on YouTube, you see, there are times that you watch the clips where the trainers that train the animals are bitten and devoured by the animals they train themselves. If the beasts are placed in a different environment or something different about the trainer they spot, then they could turn into really a beast. If now it, the trainers that train animals really have to be careful, if especially during the period where the animals are into mating, then you have to be extra cautious and wear the hard gears that could protect yourselves from the attack or by the animals. Now they're brothers and sisters or brothers playing basketball with the sandals on. It's suicidal. Now you could say that I never had any accident or injuries when I play basketball with the sandals on. No, it's not true. No, just in case, one in 110,000 times, it could happen. So you have to put on the shoes that could protect your ankles. If you play soccer, then you have to wear soccer shoes. So when I traveled to Austria, and since we had a plan to play soccer, I had soccer shoes ready. I could have played soccer with my jogging shoes on, but I could have slipped on when I play soccer on the grass field. So now, if the people there are trying to live, uh, trying to, they want to live the lives of influence or already living an influential life, it is detrimental to injure yourselves. Now, you could have made a blunder already. It could, it could prevent you from being greater in your life. Now, if you want to live the life as the wisest man and woman, you have to know and believe that being injured or being hurt or harmed is detrimental not only for yourself, for the people, and for God, and for everything. Now, let's take a look at 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 21. This is the verse that you are going to memorize. This is verse that I love. For we have regard for what is honorable, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. Uh, Not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. You have to be cautious, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of man. Now, this particular verse, uh, Paul wrote this verse when a whole lot of money from Asia and other uh, areas. Um, so basically, people in other countries offered a whole lot of money for towards Jerusalem, and Saint Paul, believed this. Did not believe that God is going to take care of everything since it is the money designated for the sake of the Lord. No, and Paul was extra cautious about carrying this wealth or money or offerings. So those kind of people are the real wise men and women. if I spot a possibility, if I spot a possible dangers, then I say I kind of turn down the offers or. Now when it rains, and when it rains on, and I see the brothers, wiping off the water only inside the line, and I spot just a little, um, and out of the line there's still just a puddle outside the line. But in playing basketball, you try to reach out to the Lord that was that is heading towards the out of the line, and in doing so you could slip. So what I do is before I play basketball, and I'm wiping off all the water out of the line just to prevent the potential injuries that could come from it. So when I play even the foot volleyball and spot just a little tiny piece of paper or a leaf, and it could alter the direction of the spike. So what I do, I would pick it up, and throw that off of the court. Look, you are such a valuable people. You are going to live the lives of that is going to lead this world as a light and truth and salt. So if you're doing anything that could harm you, which could endanger your future, that is not wise. It could basically dismantle your entire life. A single choice can have an effect for the rest of your life. So you have to be cautious on and on and on. Let's pray. Now you have to resolve. You have to reach the level where you take the what is most unlikely to happen can also happen. Because most unlikely means there's a little, very small chance of happening. So let's bow your heads and pray. Dear Lord, the life introduced in the Bible is the life that could change this country and the world, and people that live such lives must be extra cautious in whatever they do. Now, I hold great expectation, Father, that people